BlackRock, JP Morgan are now saying that we are heading into recession, but I want to change the name for just a moment. Hear me out on this. I want to use the word transition. So there's a recession that could be going into a depression, but I think the biggest difference here is there's a transition. So in every single year, the CEOs of large corporations do a letter to their shareholders. Okay, very, very important to understand. So in their letter to shareholders, they talk about the recession for 2023. Obviously, they talk about transitions. Now, one of the things that we need to understand is that blockchain technology is something that they keep touting that will be here. So they call cryptocurrency a fraud, but they say blockchain technology is here to stay or is something that may be in the future. Guys, BlackRock is linked up with Coinbase through Aladdin, one of the most sophisticated trading platforms in the world. BlackRock and Circle are connected. JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon created Onyx, but this is JPM coin. They already have their own distributed ledger technology, their own blockchain. So be very, very careful by being fudded out by Jamie Dimon's word saying that Bitcoin is trash, but blockchain is here to stay. So the letter to the shareholders come out. They talk about us going into recession, but I'm going to call it a transition. We know the monetary system is screwed. It cannot continue this way. It can't. So here's the issue. Is people have been working 40 to 50 years of their life. Some people 30 years. Some people 50 years to retirement. To be sitting right now at retirement age and having no idea what's about to happen. Do you realize that many companies are not going to make this? Do you realize how over-leveraged companies are? Do you realize how over-leveraged the banks are? We are a debt-based society. Many of these companies that are on the stock exchange, publicly traded companies, are surviving because of the junk bonds and the stimulus that was pumped into their companies in 2020. The well is drying up. Silicon Valley Bank was just the beginning. Silicon Valley Bank was a representation of how quickly the monetary system can change. Over $160 billion were liquidated overnight based on a tweet. So they know that the liquidity can be sucked out right away. Now, why is this starting to happen? You have 10-year treasury bonds that were very attractive when interest rates were extremely low. When interest rates are extremely low and money is very cheap, the government will do 10-year treasury bonds so we can give them some money, lend them some money. They'll give us a little bit of interest so they can keep things going, right? Again, we're the liquidity guys. So then all of a sudden with Jerome Powell, boom, raised interest rates. You had an inversion in the yield and 2-year treasury bonds we're giving more interest than 10-year treasury bonds. Now, to make that simple, what that does is it decreases the balance sheet. So they're sitting on all these 10-year treasury bonds, and the 2-year is more attractive, and that reduces their balance sheet, which is your liquidity. Interest rates are going to continue to go up, not allowing us to lend anymore. And again, we're a debt-based society. Every single dollar we put into the bank is someone else's debt. So I'm going to switch it to a transition. Not a recession, not a depression. Because the transition to blockchain technology, the transition to distributed ledger technology, the transition to on-demand liquidity and real-time payments that is happening right now is no longer a tinfoil hat. It is happening right now in your banking system in April, is the transition to move money at the speed of light. Number one, they need velocity of money. Number two, creates what they call financial inclusion, which gets all the unbanked people into the system, which allows them to tax it more, to monitor more, and to put more money in the system and keep the machine going. And number three, the more money you have in the system, the more you can lend back out. So banks make money in 3 ways. I'm going to repeat the same things over and over again until it gets ingrained in your subconscious mind. Number 1 is fee income. Number 2 is interest income. And number 3 is capital markets income. So if they're getting crushed with their interest income because interest rates are so high and we as normal everyday Americans are not lending anymore, that's fucked. Fee income, hold on to that one. Next is capital markets income. So that's like trading services and things like that. Well, if the markets come collapsing down, trading services income is going to go down. So what you're left with is fee income. Well, if money's moving at the speed of light at a very low cost for the banks to move money, their margins can be massive on what they charge you. So if it costs a penny to move $1 million now, they can charge you 35 cents. And if they do that over and over again and they get all the money in the system, do you realize how much money is going to be made by the financial institutions? So don't get it twisted, guys. They will always make their money. We will always be the liquidity because we're the people that put money into the system. We provide products and services. They just have to keep that money flow going somehow. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of destruction before we see peace and prosperity. What is that going to look like? Is the middle class is going to get wiped out and moved down to working poor. Facts. So if you're not preparing, if you're not understanding what's happening right now, your job could be at risk. Your 401k could be at risk. Your retirement could be at risk. So what we've done is worked harder on ourselves than we did anything else to understand the monetary system. We as warriors have invested in these innovative technologies, knowing that they're speculative assets and that it's a very, very large risk, number one. We diversified across those speculative assets, hoping that we'll pick a few winners, because no YouTuber, no TikToker has the answer. The elites aren't coming to us and telling us what the answer is. Number two is we're diversified outside of crypto as well. Things like leveraged life insurance, precious metals. I'm diversified across businesses. And our warriors are getting into pre-IPOs. And most of all, we're working harder on ourselves than we do anything else. Aligning with our higher Christ consciousness, connecting the heart and brain coherence, and showing up in love and unconditional love without expectations. That's where true wealth comes from. There is no get rich quick. But if you do this right, you could get wealthy for sure. Because if all this comes collapsing down, what do you have left? You have family, you have God, and you have love. And so if you get your family structure, you get your principles, and you fall back in love with yourself and work harder on healing yourself, you do anything else, you'll be the wealthiest man or woman on earth. But on top of that, if you're able to take advantage of the biggest transformation of wealth in history, imagine how many resources you'll have to help other people. So don't believe the bullshit. As they tell you to look this way, there's always another narrative going on this way. When they tell you crypto's a fraud, that means they're buying it. When they tell you it's collapsing, that means they're buying it. When they tell you it's the best thing since sliced bread on the news, that means you should be selling it. If you just do the opposite of the 99%, you may wake up the 1% one day. And I learned something very powerful, that 99% of our DNA is the same. There's only 1% of our DNA that makes us different. So if only 1% of our DNA makes us different, then why do you think we focus only on what makes us different? The 1% separated us with the 1% of our DNA that makes us different. Let that sink in. Warriors, rise, get your shit together. Love you guys. If you need support and you're still here, it's 8 minutes into this video, you're a true warrior. So join my 120-day challenge, link in bio, 7 days for free in 2023. We've helped over 6,000 warriors since 2020 navigate. There is no get rich quick. It's not a get rich program. It's hard work, discipline, consistency in the path to get there. Love you guys. I'll see you inside my academy. Link in bio. BlackRock, JP